Thank you.
Oh, hi there. This is Barb St. John White with the CitSci chapter.
Great, Barb. And also, we're just having everybody, if they can say a brief sentence about their experience with CitSci. Like if you have used it or whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we have a whole group of folks here. I can start by saying yes, I've used it, and folks had a couple of questions. I mean, mostly our experience has been just fine. But we had a couple questions about. I think someone tried to enter Stage recently and had a little bit of trouble with that. Like that was our. Mostly, we're just. It's good to get a refresher, and some people in our group haven't used CitSci before, and so. So I guess we're just hoping to kind of get an overview and maybe ask a couple of minor questions.
Great, great.
Yeah. Is that helpful?
This is George Mossballer from the Mountain Laurel chapter. I've used CitSci since Mitch introduced us to it.
All righty.
I'm Natalie Mee. I'm with the Tag Dotton chapter. I've never used it. I'm a water dog, so I'm new to this whole thing.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
John Brumwell with the Susquehanna chapter. I've used CitSci since the beginning as well and have no current issues with it.
Okay. Is that pretty much everybody?
Bill Drake, I'm not sure what the chapter is. I'm McKean County. I've got 3 sites. 2 of them I'm having no problem with. The 3rd one I'm having some trouble.
Okay.
Hey, Jake, it's Walt Pease. I've used CitSci since the start with Mitch. I just haven't used it since the most recent location updates have been made.
Cool. We'll definitely cover that.
Jake, Brian Furnace, Tom Ferrassa, Caldwell Creek, Regis Dombrowski, Caldwell Creek.
Okay. Alrighty, well, if that's everybody. That gives me a good kind of, sounds like we got a pretty wide range of background in regards to CitSci. So some of you who are veterans, a little bit of this is probably going to, it's going to be stuff you already know. But hopefully it'll be beneficial for everybody, and we'll definitely take questions throughout and at the end. If you have very specific troubleshooting problems, like I heard one person say that that one of their sites is not listed as a predefined location, that'd probably be best to do off the conference call. That way you and I can work specifically together to fix whatever problem that may be. But if it's a problem or a question with the functionality of the website or how the website works, that's probably a little bit more suited for this specific call. But yeah, at the end, and if I forget to do this, remind me. I'll give everyone my phone number and my email address, and feel free to call me and we can troubleshoot any specific problems to your site that you might have. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to start from the beginning. But it sounds like there's at least a couple people who have not actually signed up for CitSci. So the first step is we're already here, but I'm just going to type it out. We're going to navigate to citsci.org, and that takes us to this home page. CitSci.org was developed by Colorado State University as a tool for citizen science projects to collect and accumulate their data. There's a variety of projects on here, ranging from bird counts to invasive species type stuff. But our project is actually the largest on the entire site. So again, starting from the beginning, if you are brand new to the program, you're going to have to sign up as a new user. And it's just like signing up for any other sort of site. And I made a little email so that I could do this today.
I'll go down the room.
And you would be signing up as a citizen science. So that'd be another term that they use on this website is a contributor. And we'll check the terms and conditions and submit. At that point, you'll get an email that'll be sent to the email address you provided. and to verify. So we'll see if that works for us quick enough that I can show you how to do that. Okay.
You never did a web conference before?
So there we go. So you're now signed up with CitSci as a member, but we haven't yet joined the CCC project. So at that point, you would click Join Project.
Don't keep going deep.
Oh, looks like I'm going to have to validate my email. And somebody out there has their sound on, and I can hear some extraneous notes, some talking and whatnot, which is, so if you could just refrain from that. But if you do have questions, do speak up. So it looks like our email validation is not going to come through quick enough. So basically, you would click that Join Project, and all the different projects in the whole site will be listed. Maybe here we go. So here we go. Now we should be able to do it. Join project. Okay, now we can select a project, and the project that you guys are going to be working on is the Trout Unlimited Coldwater Conservation for Water Quality Monitoring project. So that's the one you'll want to click. Again, you're going to be a contributor, so that's the permission you'll ask for. You'll submit, and at that point, it's going to send me an email to approve you as a contributor. There was a comment section on there. If you wanted to put your chapter or say what training you went to or whatnot, that can help me in approving you. But basically, it'll go through. I'll get an email. You'll be approved, and then you'll be able to enter data onto the site. So I'm going to log out of here, and then I'm going to log into my profile to go through some more of the basics here. So here's my profile page, and as you can see, I'm a member of two different projects, both the CCC, which is a Pennsylvania project, as well as the West Virginia Water Quality Monitoring Project. So I'm going to go ahead and click our project here, and you can see the home page. This is just project name, the manager, which Katie started this, number of observations. So we've submitted 3,204 data sheets, and I can tell you that we have almost 20,000 data points, so we have a pretty large amount of data at this point. This is managing members. That's just because I'm one of the managers of it. So basically, these buttons here is not something you really need to worry about. But we'll go ahead to the Submit Data tab. And I know many of you have done this, but looking at the Stream Monitoring Field data sheet, you'll have an Enter Data button, which you'll press. And then a data sheet will pop up that basically replicates what you're looking at on your field data sheet. So you'll choose your date, which I'm just going to go with today. So what the date is, whatever day you actually did the sampling. A recorder, so that's where you choose your name. Once you're an approved member of the program or of the project on here, your name will come up. And then authority, and you can go ahead and just choose my name for that. The search time in minutes and comments is something you can use if you want, but it's not necessary. And then this is one of the new things that we've done is this predefined location tab. So basically what we were doing here is there were several folks who were
oh, sorry.
Somebody's getting some feedback there. There was, in order to help people Sorry, folks.
Is that you, though?
Okay,
Just like that.
Okay, there we go. Sorry. Anyway, if you guys have some trouble with feedback like that, maybe try dropping off the call and then calling back in. Thank you. Well, I'm going to go ahead and continue on. This predefined location was put forth so that folks wouldn't have to re-enter their lat and long coordinates every single time they enter data Not only was it probably a little bit tedious, but it also caused some, basically it was just an easy way to cause some errors in data just by having to enter all those numbers time after time after time. So what we did is basically preloaded your lat-long coordinates with your naming convention. So at this point, you're just able to click your naming convention, and at that point, your lat-long coordinates have been connected to the data that you're entering. So for the purposes of this webinar, I actually created my own stream here, WebRU001. So what you can do to easily navigate to the stream that you want is just start typing it in. So I'm typing WEB, and it takes me right to my stream. And that's the best way, I would say, to navigate to that. And then we'll enter the data as it is on your field data sheet. Oh, cool. And most of you should be familiar with this since you've gone through the training. One thing I will note is that the temperatures are in Fahrenheit. If you enter Celsius temperatures, they're going to be incorrect because the unit that on this website is Fahrenheit. So please do keep that in mind. Stream flow, is it clear? I know all of you are doing conductivity. I'm just entering random data here. Create stream cross-sectional area. I do want to touch on that briefly because in doing QA/QC with our large data sets, I'm seeing some weird numbers in that one. And I'm sure, as we said in the training, basically what you're doing is measuring the width of the stream, taking an average number of depths, and then multiplying those two numbers together to get a feet squared. So feet squared is the unit that you're working with. And if any of you have questions with that, feel free to contact me, and we can go over it together. But I have been seeing some weird numbers in there, so I wanted to touch on base with that really quick. And then stream stage. This is not something that most sites are sampling, and I remember I heard one person mention that they have had issues submitting data for that field. And I, to be honest, don't have the answer to why that might be at this point, but CitSci, they actually have staff that will work with me on troubleshooting issues like this. So whoever that was, if you could reach out to me after the call, we can get that figured out for you.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, this is that was me. It was one person in our group who was having that problem. I think it was Art Ansel, and I think he got in touch with you. It may just be something, it may not even be CitSci. If no one else is having that problem, it might be like his web browser or something, you know what I mean, like that. So
that's definitely a possibility. I've been using Google Chrome for this, but I think Explorer should be fine too. Mozilla, as long as they're updated, I don't see any issues with web browsers. But if he continues to have problems, please have him contact me. I'll be happy to help him out.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
No problem. So yeah, moving down, I'm going to skip stream stage, turbidity centimeters. I'm just going to put an NTU value in there. And at this point, I just wanted to tell people that this is a good point to do a little QA/QC and look at your values and make sure it matches up with what's on your field data sheet. Because in my understanding, once you submit, you're not able to go back and edit one value. You'd actually have to delete the entire sheet and go back and re-enter the whole thing if there's something incorrect. So this is a good point to do some QA/QC and double check. So at that point, once you have all your data entered, if no one has any questions on the predefined locations or anything on this page, I'm going to go ahead and submit it.
Yeah, I have a quick question, Don Tracy.
Sure.
You keep on mentioning data sheets. I've been doing this since the beginning, maybe 2.5 years, and all I use is I've gone through like 5 in a little notebook that I just write.
I'm just using that as a term. As long as you're collecting the data that we've trained you guys to collect, if you write it in a field notebook, that's fine. Okay. I know there's a data sheet that's provided in the field manual. That's what I was referring to. But as long as the data is getting here on CitSci, that's the most important thing, and how you record it is up to you. Okay. One addition I will add on to that is I wouldn't say it's necessary a must, but I would highly recommend each chapter keeping a spreadsheet of their data for themselves. And I know a lot of you already do that. And it's just a good way of having, for one thing, a backup, not that this CitSci data is going anywhere, but also just having your data for your streams at your fingertips and easily accessible. So it's not a terrible idea to have someone keeping a spreadsheet of all the data that your chapter, or you can keep a spreadsheet of your own personal sites as well. So I'm going to go ahead and submit.
George Mosteller, what actually is search time refer to?
So search time, I think what they're referring to, and correct, someone might know this better than me, but I think what they're referring to is the time you spent in the field, and that might, I think that's a field that's related to more of the like bird counts and whatnot. So because your search time would, dictate the amount of species that you might see. So it's not really something that is applicable to our project. And if someone knows better than me, they can speak up and correct me, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
I have a question,
Sure.
Kathy Lieber. So if some of the data you are not able to collect, I don't have the turbidity tube. I didn't get that yet. It won't be a problem if I just leave that part blank?
No. Anything you leave blank, if you recall, I left the turbidity in centimeters blank and the stream stage blank, and they just, when we get to this sheet, they're just not there. So that won't cause any issues at all.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So this is, once you go to get to this page where it says thank you for your observation, you successfully submitted the data. There's a few little pieces that I'll point out here. It does allow you to edit general information, which is this stuff up here. So you could change the date, you could change the recorder if you wanted to, but like I mentioned before, you can't change any of this stuff without deleting the whole sheet and redoing it. You can also upload photos of your stream if you want to start keeping a photo, sort of a photo journal or some photo data. That's a good tool for that. And then the sighting and treatment, again, these are some of the features that are more designed for the bird count type stuff. So don't worry about those two buttons. So, we'll go back to our project profile and let someone have some more questions on this particular data sheet. Cool. And then real quick, and it's, a lot of it is fairly similar, but I do want to go through it. We're going to go through the benthic macroinvertebrate survey. I know some of you haven't been trained in this, but for those of you that have, and for those of you that will in the future, let's go through this real quick. So again, it's pretty similar to the last data sheet. Select a recorder, and then authority. And then we can go down. And in this one, we don't actually have predefined locations set up yet. So we're still basically typing. This is what in my understanding, this is what you used to have to do, and this was before me actually, with the other data sheet as well. So if you're collecting macro data, you will have to type in the lat and long. And the accuracy should be given on the device that you take your lat and long with. It'll say, accuracy within 5 meters or 10 meters. And that's what you'll actually put in this field. And then for those of you who have been trained, we count we do our BMI index, our body mass index in 3 groups: pollution tolerant, somewhat sensitive, and sensitive. I won't go into depth with that because that's not really the main topic of this webinar, but I'll go ahead and put some values in there. And then we submit. And just like the last data sheet, you're going to get a thank you for your observation page, and it'll have all your data down here. And like I mentioned before submitting is the best time to do a little check over, a little QA/QC, and make sure that your data is correct to save yourself some time. So I'm going to go back to project profile. Does anyone have any questions yet at this point?
Or where he went, what screen he went to.
Okay, so we're back at the home screen again, your profile. And I'm just going to go through some of the other tabs that are useful to you guys. We have a resources tab, which just has some different presentations, some of our how-to videos, and other relevant information pertaining to the CCC program. I'm recording this webinar right now, and I'm going to try and upload that on here so you can use it as a resource while entering data. The next tab that I'd like to look at is this View Data tab. And you'll see the two submissions I just made show up here. This is where you can go and look at the data that you've submitted throughout your entire sampling time and the time using CitSci. So I'm going to show you how to use, for one thing, what you do when you click View here is you just see that submission page that you got, and that's showing you all the data that you submitted. One little weird functionality thing that I don't like is if you click back here, it takes you back to the main page. So what I usually do when I'm looking at multiple sheets is right-click and click Open in a new tab. So I can open up, a few different sheets, look at them here. We got one. Look at the other one, and then I can just close them out and easily go back to my search. So say I wanted to search my site, and so I just type in the naming convention, and it should process and bring up all the submissions for that site that's ever been made on this website, and you can go through and look at old data and whatnot. Another little resource that you have on here is this mapping feature. We'll click over there. That sometimes takes a second to pop up, but it'll come.
We don't have the photos, but we have the longitude and latitude.
There we go. So this is showing all the submissions that we made. And as you see, there's a couple little wandering ones down here, and as you probably guessed, that's from maybe a missed negative on your GPS or on your GPS coordinates, or flipping the lats and the longs, something along those lines. And that's part of the reason why we went to those predefined locations, to keep us from having our data assigned to Antarctica or Siberia. So if you want to look at a map of your locations and where they are positioned according to the GPS coordinates on CitSci, you can just, again, type in that naming convention, hit search, and it'll take you to that site. It'll have a little blue oval around it, and you can actually come in and look where the site's positioned according to the GPS on there. And it's a good way, for one thing, just to make sure that the information we have matches up with where you're actually sampling. And then also you can, again, you can click this More Details button. It does show your lat and long there. And it'll take you to the last data sheet that you submitted at that site. So that's that little map feature there. Let's see. So back to the main project page. The only other thing on this page that I wanted to look at was this site data download. Now right now, the way CitSci is set up, we can only download data for all the sites, the whole entire project, all 17,000 of those data points that I talked about earlier. So that's another reason why having that spreadsheet on the side is a nice thing. So you don't have to download the entire CCC data set in order to get to your data. That being said, I've been working with the CitSci folks, and they say they're going to bring that functionality to the website, where you can just download data from a particular site, or just download data from your chapter site. We're just not there yet. So this is what we're dealing with right now as far as downloading data from the website. And that kind of leads well into another point I wanted to make, is this website is still evolving. And so if you have ideas or anything that you think would improve the functionality of the site for our project, please let me know. I can pass that along the CitSci folks have been pretty receptive and actually made a few changes that I've recommended. So, we can have a say in how this site works for us. And then just to point this out, there's a statistics button here. That's, again, one of those functionalities more for the bird counting folks and whatnot. That was pretty much everything I was going to cover. This media, feedback, and questions tabs, those are meant for you to communicate with the project coordinator, myself, but I much prefer email. So I'd rather you email me or call me rather than using this feedback or these question tabs. And no one's using them right now. I just wanted to point those out. Does anybody have any questions at this point?
This is Barb from CitSci chapter again. We were talking at a recent meeting that we had with Dunlap about the possibility of down the road in CitSci being able to enter your values for your cross-sectional area calculation, have the website actually calculate that. Is that something that might be coming up in the near future?
So you mean just putting in the width and the average depth and then having the website calculate the cross-sectional area? Is that what you're suggesting?
Oh, maybe. I guess I didn't know what format it would take, for people who do multiple measurements across the stream, I guess.
Yeah, so what I think we're going to go to, and it just hasn't happened yet, is changing that field data sheet so that you just enter your width and your average height, and then we'll have CitSci. It may be CitSci or it may be me on the back end converting all that to cross-sectional area. And that's something we've looked at doing just because we have had some issues with getting weird and probably incorrect numbers for that cross-sectional area measurement.
Okay, all right.
So
yeah,
stay tuned for that.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm, underestimating my base abilities and by saying I should be able to multiply two numbers together, but I guess it could help, if those were the values you had written down, you could enter them directly. So.
Yeah, it takes one more step out of it, and I know you all can multiply two numbers together, but it's easy to make little errors here and there, and that's one that we have seen some weird numbers on. So that could be coming in the future where we just enter width and average depth.
I have a quick question on that. This is Don Tracy. I do both of mine at bridges, and it's concrete that goes down, so it's always the same width. And what I did when the water was really low, I went down and I marked with on the bridge abutment the heights. So all I do is I always have the same width, and then just take the height off the bridge abutment.
So you're taking you're taking a stage measurement?
I guess you'd call it a stage, but that's my flow.
Okay. Yeah, have to think about that a little bit. I feel like are you still taking depths at regular intervals, or are you taking one depth and then that same width?
Yeah, the depth doesn't change. It's all rock all the way across.
It's all rock. Oh, I understand what you're saying. So you have more of a square profile or a rectangular profile of the stream. So
almost. I mean, it goes down in the middle.
Yeah.
I knew how deep that was, and I just went over to the wall and marked all the way up the wall from up to I started at 1.5 feet where it was in the middle when I started, and then I went up to 5 feet, and I just looked down on the wall and see what it is, and I know it's always 60 feet across or whatever.
Okay, I think that makes sense, but most folks won't have that kind of stream profile. There's going to be really varying depth.
Right.
But I think sounds like for your purposes that could work. Cool. With that, one other point I did want to make. If you'll look at the screen here, we can do mass uploads. So if you have been taking data and keeping a spreadsheet but haven't entered any of it into CitSci, and you have a lot of spreadsheet or a lot of data on a spreadsheet, you can send that to me, and I can upload it in mass into CitSci. That way you don't have to go back and enter all that historical data by hand. And then at that point, moving forward, you can start entering data as you take it into CitSci. So if any of you folks haven't been on here yet and you do have a lot of data, get a hold of me and I'm pretty sure I should be able to get it all uploaded onto CitSci that way, to this mass upload feature. And that's something only I can do. contributors can only enter data via the one spreadsheet. That is all I have for CitSci. So if any of you have further questions on CitSci, now would be the time to ask them.
Jake,
all right,
all the statistics button?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What did you say? I didn't catch that.
It's John Brumbaugh, and I was curious to know if there's any functionality on this button.
Okay, the statistics button is actually, I'll actually click it. It's something that has been designed for like some of this other stuff for bird counts, as you can see, top 5 most commonly observed species. So right now it has no functionality for us. I was just actually emailing yesterday with the guy who runs CitSci, and he's working on some other tools where we can kind of devise our own statistics type things that will be helpful to us and will actually tell us something. As of now, there's no functionality, but in the future there should be. So. Okay, great. Thank you. No problem. Cool. Well, if any of you think of anything, or if you have, like I mentioned before, if you're having specific issues with entering your data, get a hold of me. Most of you probably have my email, my phone number, but I'll go ahead and give it to you now. My email is JLEMON, J-Lemon, like the fruit, @tu.org. And my phone number is 814-779-3965.
With all this, I have some.
And if you need me to repeat that later, I totally can. But what I wanted to do next was I just have a couple updates regarding the program that I wanted to share with everybody while I have you on the call. One, you all should have gotten an email, but we just set a date based on the survey responses that we got. We set a date and a location for the 2014 CCC conference. And right now we have the date set at August 15th through 17th, and that's going to be a Friday night through a Sunday afternoon, early afternoon, and we're going to do it in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania again.
Oh.
So mark your calendars. Hope you all can make it. It sounds like it was a really fun time last year. Looking forward to it, and we'll stay tuned for more info on that. That's pretty much all we have right now. So the next conference call, and I'm not sure what the subject of the CCC conference call next time will be, but I went ahead and set a date just so we can have it on our calendars. So we're going to do these bi-monthly, so every 2 months. The next one I'm hoping to do on Monday, June 23rd, probably at 7 p.m. again. And then the other update I have is I am planning on doing some more trainings this year. I'll probably do 1 or 2 more basic trainings and probably 4 advanced macroinvertebrate trainings before the end of this year, this calendar year. So if any of you are interested and you think there's interest in your area in doing a basic training, please let me know. If those of you who have done the basic training and want to take it a step further and start collecting macroinvertebrate data, I'd be happy to do an advanced training for you. And we could even look at doing putting them together and doing a basic and advanced training in one setting if it made sense for a particular chapter. So if that's something that you guys would be interested in, or you think there's people in your area that you would be interested in, that would be interested in that, please let me know and we can start. I'm starting to get those scheduled and trying to get my schedule worked out as far in advance as possible. So let me know as soon as possible if you're interested in either doing a basic or advanced training. So that's all the updates I have. Does anyone have any general questions, general comments that they'd like to share with the group? I'm just going to open the floor right here. All righty. Well, if we don't have anything else, that's all I had for you. Hopefully that was beneficial and helpful, even for those of you who've been using CitSci for a while. I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on the call today. And if anything pops up, if you have any thoughts or questions, don't hesitate to call me. I'm here as a resource for you all. So, thanks everybody, and that's all I have. So,
thanks a lot, Jake.
All right. Have a good evening, y'all.
Dennis?